Yes.
Pros and cons of living in Switzerland. Living in Switzerland comes with a uniquely different experience. Switzerland is such a great place to live, thanks to its charming scenery and storybook villages. Other attractions of this country are hiking trails, excellent ski resorts, and its chocolate. However, moving to Switzerland isn't just a bed of roses. It has its unique challenges. Have you ever wondered what the pros and cons of living in Switzerland are? That's the purpose of this video. It's produced to help those making the big move to Switzerland arrive at an informed decision. We'll endeavor to provide you with most of what you need to know before deciding to move to Switzerland. Now, let's examine the pros and cons of living in Switzerland. Pros of living in Switzerland. 1. Central location. To start with, Switzerland is a centrally located country on the continent of Europe. Though it's a landlocked country, its location in Central Europe is a pro of living in this country. Quite easily, anyone can move to Italy, located south of the country, or France to the west. It also shares its northern border with Germany and Austria, while Liechtenstein is to the east. So it's so convenient to go to anywhere on the continent. You have access to any other country. In 4 hours, you can be in Paris via train. And if you take a flight, you'll be there in 2 hours. If this freedom is important to you, and you're the type who loves to travel, that should be one of the reasons to consider living in Switzerland, if the facts are favorable. 2. High wages. Wages are generally higher in this country. That could be the reason for low working hours. To an average Swiss, it's an abuse for anyone to work 60 hours or even 40 hours a week. You can earn as much as 7,000 Swiss francs, an equivalent of $7,850 in Switzerland. Recent statistics suggest that the median salary has continued to rise these days. While this is a pro of living in Switzerland, it's not enough to keep up with the growing cost of living, as you'll soon see in the discussions of the cons of living in Switzerland. 3. Cultural diversity. Remember that Switzerland lies at the crossroads of many of the major European cultures. That's why we don't want to see it as a culturally homogeneous community. To some, it's a culturally diverse country. We found that the cultural scene here is very diverse. You probably know that Switzerland has 4 national languages, namely German, French, Italian, and Romansh. Now, each of these languages originates in different sets of cultures. Subsequently, the influence of these cultures is felt in the society in this country. The federal system complements this to add to the influence of this cultural diversity. No wonder 13 sites in this country are listed in the catalog of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. You can also refer to the 26 cantons which account for the large cultural diversity. In spite of the regional disparities, the Alps played no small role in shaping the country's history and culture. 5. Political stability. This is because the country is for now the safest in the world by many standards. There is no standard you use that'll rank it beyond number 5. Low crime rates, higher levels of education, and economic stability are also contributory factors. What's responsible for this is the political stability. The collective head of state rules with a few ministers for a number of years. This makes governing so simple and less cumbersome. It has been said that Switzerland has the best political system in the world. 6. Eco-friendly. We need to give this to the Swiss and their sustainability project that is being etched into the consciousness of the polity with the slogan, Swiss-stainable. The country has been leading the way to sustainability and the way to a better sustainable future. For instance, Swiss citizens are known to be the highest consumers of the most organic products globally. Another factor enhancing the eco-friendliness in this country is recycling and waste management. These are other important factors in Switzerland's sustainability. While keen in manufacturing electric vehicles, they pursue a sustainable lifestyle that prompts them to prioritize using public transportation and having fewer cars on their roads over personal vehicles. Is it not a great pro of living in Switzerland if you can contribute to combating global warming that is now on the table and make some difference? Of course, the weather in Switzerland varies greatly depending on the region, but the people in general are known for taking very good care of their environment and nature. Cons of living in Switzerland. 1. high cost of living. Some might argue that the country Switzerland is not the most expensive in the world. It's okay. But when looking at the world's most expensive cities to live in, it is neither strange nor surprising to find 2 Switzerland cities in the top 10. Thus, we consider it a significant downside to moving to or living in Switzerland. Everything is just too expensive. Housing options in the country have high prices. While food and entertainment are essential, some are considered luxury, as a cost can add up quickly, particularly in bigger cities. Comparing the cost of living in Canada with that of Switzerland for a single person, you'll be quick to notice the difference and conclude that the cost of living is high in Switzerland. For instance, a recent check indicates that the average cost of living in Canada is $1,831, while in Switzerland, it's around $2,507. 2. Expensive health insurance. The Swiss shop for health insurance like they do their cheese because it's mandatory in Switzerland for every resident. There's a wide array of choices. Expats in Switzerland are generally obligated to take out a local insurance policy within 3 months following their arrival in the country. The cost of health insurance in Switzerland is by no means small. For an adult, it's between 4,248 Swiss francs and 7,102 Swiss francs per year. The minimum deductible is 300 Swiss francs. Generally, the Swiss healthcare system is considered one of the most expensive in the world. 3. Finding a home. If you're thinking about living in Switzerland, remember that you need to look for a place to stay. Unfortunately, there's not much land available in this country. That's why only less than 40% of the population owns a home. Most of them are confined to renting unfurnished properties. Please note that it's illegal for you as a foreigner to buy a home in Switzerland. To own a home in this country, you'll need a residence permit. Even if you want to rent a home, a Swiss bank account is a must for you. Meanwhile, to open a bank account, you must have proof of a lease. Do you see why it's difficult for a foreigner to settle down? Residents in this country have to be flexible with the matter of accommodation, as not many properties are available. Many of those moving to the country have moved to different cities than they had planned. 4. Reserved and rigid culture. If you're moving to Switzerland, expect to be confronted by a culture shock. It's the exact opposite of what you've been used to. The culture is reserved and rigid, as the country has many rules you will need to adjust to. In fact, there's a rule for everything, and maybe for when you need to eat and where you must not talk. On Sundays, for example, there are shutdowns, but it also applies to hanging your laundry and mowing your grass. Switzerland's reserved and rigid culture makes it slow for any adjustment to be made. Besides, they have traditional views of matters. To many people, some of the rules could be viewed as somewhat biased or even racist to foreigners. There are those who claim that communal laundry rooms in their buildings have washers that are dedicated exclusively to the Swiss and a few other nationalities. 5. Difficult to make friends. It's tough to make contact with people in Switzerland because it is difficult to know people. It might take longer to make friends with local people. You have to speak their language, at least one of the 4 international languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. They tend to close up if you don't use a Swiss version of these languages. But this isn't to say that you'll never have a friend all your life if you don't speak those languages. The people will eventually warm up to you. You might later have a huge community of friends to hang out with, but if you want to quickly integrate with the locals, speak the local language. Conclusively, based on the pros and cons mentioned here, would you still move to Switzerland if you're considering that move? Please, let's continue this engaging discussion in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.